So in Roxanne's class, we're using an altered book, and I've got this book, which is, it's only 60 pages long. I've already read it. I've taken all the information out of it that I want, and I like it because it's crystals, so it's got some really cool imagery in it. Some of it is quite unusual to get this mix of different imagery in a book. So this will do nicely. However, I want it to be soft cover, and this is hardcover. The reason I want it to be soft cover is because it will give the pages a bit more room to move, because I don't want to take pages out because it's only 60 pages long. And I'm mostly going to be painting in it, so it's not going to get too thick, I don't think. It'll maybe double in size, but the spine is pretty good, so I think it will be okay. So what I'm going to do is take the cover off, and I'm going to rebind it with this canvas paper that I have. It's pretty cool because although it's on a spiral binding, it is... Spiral binding is not great. It's perforated, so I can tear out pages. It feels nice. It's pre-gessoed, so I can paint on it if I want to, or I can leave it as is, or I can just let paint get on the cover, whatever. So it's exactly the right size that way. So what I really need to do is decant the book and stick this onto the book. I think what I'll probably do is put a piece on the front, a piece on the back, and use one of these cut-off pieces to wrap around the spine and stick that on like that, because that will reinforce it and give it a bit of room to move. So that's today's plan. And to get the book out, obviously, you know, it's got an open binding, so it's, I don't know if you can see on camera, but there's a hole down the back, and the binding is a complete block. So all I'm going to do is slice the paper here, and it's actually got a canvas binding on it, so I'm just going to chop through that. It's not the best pair of scissors to try and do this with. Let's try these a bit bigger. Here we go, that's better. So I'm just going to split it for now, and I'll tidy it up in a minute. So there's one. Can do the same on this side. So I'm not ruining the binding integrity. I've still got the black bound block. It's still got the piece on the back, all of this, that's all fine. And this piece, what I might do is use the other offcut for this and put it in there, and then I can turn this into a little folder. I might turn it that way, and then I can use this for a folder to put things in, just odd bits of paper and collage material and stuff like that maybe. So that would be kind of a cool project to do. This is not part of the class, by the way. I'm just prepping my book because I want to use a softcover book. So I'm just going to trim this off. I'm not going to touch anything that is going to cause a problem with the binding. I'm just trimming off the excess so that it's flat. So I'm trying to avoid cutting into that brown binding because that's what's holding the binding together. I'm just getting rid of the excess paper and canvas. Okay, so I've still got my block, it's still intact, it's not in any way compromised. So now all I need to do is stick my canvas on. Now, this bit of canvas somehow has got a bit mottled and this piece hasn't, so I think I'll use this bit on the back. Which is the back and which is the front? This is the back. So I'm going to put this piece on here. I think I'll do it the same size as the book. I don't want to have too much overhang, so I'm going to make sure it's all lined up with the edge of the book. And I'll use my friction pen because that will erase if I need it to. And I'm going underneath here because I want the cover to not touch the spine too heavily. So cut that out. Okay, check which side of the book we've got again. See, I've got the wrong side of the book again. Okay, so let's make sure it fits. Tiny bit too wide. Just trim a sliver off here. Perfect. Okay, now I think the best way to do this would probably be, I'm going to use PVA. So I'm going to put PVA glue all over this. And then, as usual, because I don't think of these things in advance, I'm going to grab my greaseproof paper after the fact. Yeah. Use my glue brush to just spread this about a bit. Palette knife might have worked better, but it's washable glue, so I'm not worried about it. It'll come out of the brush. Nice and even. And then pop this on. Line it up with the edge. The edge is most important. The back of it is not so important because that's going to be covered anyway. Oh, that's not quite straight. There we go. Get it all smoothed down. And a tip for when you're trying to stick a thick piece of paper to a thin piece of paper, don't try and push down on a thick piece of paper, you won't have enough strength to do it. Turn it over and use your scraper to push the thin piece of paper onto the thick piece of paper to get out any air bubbles. It's much easier to manipulate a thin piece of paper than a thick one. I see a lot of people doing this when they're trying to stick watercolour paper down in a Hobonichi journal or something. I've never quite understood why they struggle, until one day I had this idea to turn it over, and then I thought, now I see why they struggle, because they're not doing it the right way around. Anyway, that's got a little bit of sticky on it, but that's okay. I'm just going to... Oh, that's got sticky on it as well now. Put it back in there like that. This will come off. It's another good thing about PVA glue. If you're messy with it, it doesn't matter. You know, it actually doesn't matter if that page sticks to there a bit, because what I'm going to do, that is the page at the back that is stuck. You know, when you have a page at the back that's partially stuck. So I'm going to make this a little bit thicker by sticking that to that as well. So I'm not too worried if that gets stuck. Retourner and repeat. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the front. Somewhere along the line I forgot I was actually doing a tutorial with an audio recording, and I didn't record instructions for this last part. So here we are with VoiceOver Ro to explain what I'm doing now. I'm using one of the offcuts from the original pieces of paper, cutting it down to the right length, and I'm going to wrap that around the spine. I'm choosing to use double-sided tape because double-sided tape will be a lot stronger, and I'm just estimating how wide it's going to be. I really just want it to wrap around on both sides. I don't care if it's even or not, as long as it's strong enough to hold. And what you see me doing here is burnishing down that tape. You need the glue to stick to the rough surface of the canvas. And of course you're sticking another piece of canvas to it, which is also a rough surface, so there's less sticky contact than there normally would be. You'll notice that I'm not bending the canvas before putting it onto the book. There's a reason for this, which you will see in a moment. Here we go. This is my way of creating space at the back of the book. I've put 2 pencils down the back of the spine and then folded the canvas around it. That will give you a gap at the back of the book, which you'll be able to see in a moment.
And that gap will allow for the spine of the book to expand, which it wouldn't do in a hardback book. That's why hardback books tend to give way after a while. This shouldn't give way because that extra spine wrap has plenty of space to move about and to accommodate the extra thickness of whatever you put into the book. So again, double-sided tape. Fold it over and stick it down. Give it a good burnish. And there you can see the extra canvas on the back that allows for the book to expand, and you can even fit a paintbrush down the back of the spine. So plenty of room for the book to grow.